good morning, East Texas. Well, wow, it has been a wet and a messy morning. Plenty of rain swept through early this morning. In fact, we are still here at our CBS 19 studio. Lots of rain stretching from I-20 down to deep East Texas. Now that a lot of the rain is beginning to shift off to the east for some of us, we're getting a look at some of the damage and the impacts. I have a couple of pictures here from our CBS 19 team that have been out. If you take a look, this is some flooding in Flint. You can see some cars trying to cross a flooded roadway out there, so make sure that you are driving carefully, and again, never enter floodwaters. This is the exact opposite of what you want to make sure that you are doing. Also, another picture. This one is from White House. There was a tree that was knocked down out there. This is on South Point Road. It was blocking the roadways. Emergency management crew and firefighters were out there picking some of that up and helping to clear the roadways. Now, this is also a picture that we got from our CBS 19 crew. This is in Chapel Hill. There was a tree that was downed and thrown onto a power line that's right by the roadways. Remember, when we have ground this soggy, it doesn't take much to see power lines and trees fall. So make sure that you are staying extra cautious. And if you do see a downed power line, act as if it is a live wire. There's a lot of voltage in that thing. You don't want to get electrocuted or anything like that. Now, these are pictures from our CBS 19 crew. Make sure that you are, of course, staying aware, but if you happen to see any storm damage and you want to send a picture to us, we would love that if you could help us tell the weather story here. You can send it to our email, weather@cbs19.tv. You know, we've also had a lot of reports of flooding. If you take a look, we have a TxDOT map. If you take a closer look at the Palestine area, there is a lot of flooding being reported out there. We have lots of reports from the Palestine Fire Department, so you want to make sure that you are, of course, avoiding driving into flood waters. Now, this is what they posted on their Facebook, just a few of the streets, because they listed so many. West Oak by Iron Gates Feed, South Sycamore Street in the 1100th block, South Sycamore Street, also by the railroad tracks, the Salt Works Road, Chancellor Drive, just to name a few, Peachtree Drive as well, and everything that you're seeing on your map. Those, again, are just in the Palestine area, but we have a lot of reports of flooded roadways around the region. So make sure that you, of course, are avoiding driving into that because it's very dangerous. You never know how deep that flood water is. Now, if you take a look back on our radar, we are seeing plenty of rain out there that's moving off to the northeast in Smith County. Really, a lot of the flood warnings, though, have begun to kind of expire. I'm going to take a zoomed in look at kind of what we're tracking. Just some rain right now, moving off to Smith County toward Troop, Henderson, and Laneville and Rusk. That's what you're seeing in the darker reds on your screen. Not a ton of lightning, so instead of gusty winds, we're more so just seeing widespread rain. There are still some thunderstorms off to our southeast. That's toward the Beaumont area and stretching out to the coast. Now, this little line that you're seeing right here that's just to the east of Jackson, crossing over the state line toward Lake Charles, that's where we are still seeing some gusty winds and a bit more intense storm activity. But for us here in East Texas, we're looking at just some widespread rain. Now, lots of rain has come through over the course of the last 6 hours. This is from our radar estimates. Now, really, it was just buckets of rain that came down off to our southwest. The Waco area, we've heard some reports of some flash flooding as well as some water rescues. Lots of flood reports in the Palestine area. Make sure that you are staying cautious and, of course, watching for anything that may have been blown or knocked into the roadways. I was looking in Palestine where we have had a flash flood warning just get extended and extended and extended. Over the past 24 hours or so, one of our rain gauges down there said 5 inches of rain. So we're going to verify that with the National Weather Service, but that just gives you a taste of how soggy and how wet this rain system was. Now, all of us picked up, or the majority of us, I should say, picked up at least a little bit of rain. What you're seeing in the blue, that's anywhere between 1/3 of an inch to about 1.5 inches of rain. But really, you want to key your eyes in on that red where we've just seen buckets of rain get dumped. Out to the east, you guys haven't seen as much rain just yet, but don't worry, you will, because showers and thunderstorms are headed your way right now. That's going to continue with us into the early afternoon, but closer to 1 o'clock, a lot of this is set to shift off to Louisiana. Now we will still be left with some isolated pockets of rain, as well as some strikes of lightning, maybe an isolated wind gust here and there, but we're kind of out of the worst of it. Thankfully, we will have a bit of a chance to dry off for the most part in the overnight hours. However, we are still tracking a flood watch. That's for all the counties that are highlighted in green on your screen. It goes through 7 p.m. Again, remember to never enter flood waters. That is the most dangerous thing that you can do. When we talk about flooding deaths, over half of those do occur in vehicles. So please make sure that you turn around, don't drown. Now, in addition to that, we are still tracking a level 1 risk of severe weather. Once a lot of these storms clear out of here, I suspect that we'll see this shift off to the east as we get an update from the Storm Prediction Center later in the day. But in the meantime, just be aware you may have an isolated strong wind gust, potentially some small pockets of hail, but a lot of that has kind of slid through our area already. Now I'm taking you live outside. This is outside our CBS 19 studio, some very wet roadways. You can see some of the rain is coming down. Getting blown around a little bit, so a few gusty winds out there, but not quite as breezy as we have seen earlier this week. Temperatures just jumped from the 60s into the 70s. We're sitting at 70 degrees right now, but I do think that we could warm up somewhere into the upper 70s. I have us at 79 this afternoon because we have that chance to dry out later today. 79 in Longview. Could be slightly warmer in Jacksonville, potentially the 80s over there, but overall it is going to be a significantly cooler day than anything we've seen in a little while. We're running about 10 degrees below average. Usually we're in the upper 80s and low 90s for this time of year. Tonight things are staying mild. We're dropping down only a few degrees, down to the low 70s. Passing clouds, we can't rule out an isolated shower here and there, but most of us are set to stay dry. But hey, don't put your rain gear away just yet. You'll need it on Friday and on Saturday, as rain chances are set to stick with us. Here's what we're looking at. On Friday, we have a little warm front that's going to come up from the south, and that's going to give us just a burst of scattered showers and thunderstorms. That's mainly set to impact deep East Texas during the afternoon, but areas off to the northwest may not even see rain, so it's kind of hit and miss if you'll see those showers. On Saturday, we may have a few scattered showers popping up off to the east. Timing of that is still up in the air, but we're looking closer to the afternoon and evening hours for those Saturday showers. Now, in terms of rain chances, we are tracking rain almost every day out of the next 7. Today, by far the soggiest. But even though we see less rain as we head into the beginning of next week, we are still tracking very damp, very soggy, very moist soil. So it doesn't take much to get some sort of flooding going. The water doesn't have anywhere to go, so just be aware and make sure that you're on alert for that over the next few days. Thankfully, some light at the end of the tunnel. By Wednesday, we finally get a chance to dry out. Rain chances drop out of the forecast. Now, what we're looking at, this is all happening due to an area of low pressure. That is sliding through Texas and getting kind of stuck across our region. Now, with low pressure, we're looking at the way that the air circulates. It's going in a counterclockwise direction, and basically what that does is that lifts the air from the surface and throws it high into the atmosphere, which is how we get all of these showers and thunderstorms happening. Once that clears out, though, which is going to happen in the next few days, high pressure begins to build in from the west, and that's going to chase these rain chances away. It's also going to bring a return of a little bit of warmth to the area. Here's the next 7 days for you. We are looking at the 70s today, 77, 78, 79, depending on where you live. We'll warm up a little bit tomorrow as we have that warm front lifting through the region. We are looking at about the mid 80s there, so it will be still below average, but nice enough. Just make sure that you are keeping an eye to the sky, because we could see some showers and thunderstorms mainly in deep East Texas during the afternoon. Saturday, still that chance of rain in the forecast. We really cannot catch a break from these isolated showers and scattered thunderstorms. That continues with us into Sunday, but high pressure begins to take control and jump in the driver's seat. That's going to push us into the 90s on Monday, and we're going to keep it warm all the way into Wednesday. I know that I am certainly looking forward to Wednesday when we get a break from all of this rainy weather that we've been tracking. Mostly sunny skies coming in Wednesday as we climb into the low 90s. So yes, it's been a very, very soggy few days. Let me go ahead and get a check of back what we're looking at with radar and give you guys a bigger picture here. So this is what we're tracking right now. Previously, we did have several flash flood warnings that were active across our area. Those have since expired, but we have been getting some storm reports in. So every icon that you're seeing here on your screen is where there have been reports to the National Weather Service of some impact from the storm. They're called local storm reports, and they are put out by the National Weather Service due to the reports that they receive. So let me just get a check of a few of them that we are tracking. So this one here, let me go ahead and click on it. It's just to the east of Buffalo, west of Palestine. That's where an emergency manager reported that there was a water rescue that was on County Road 301. Again, we have gotten reports of water rescues from Limestone County as well as the Waco area. So just make sure that you're staying aware. Beverly Hills, another one, a swift water rescue, this time near Waco Creek at New Road. Again, not in our area, but we had the same cell move through from Waco into the Buffalo region, off to parts of Anderson County. And with all of that heavy rainfall that was associated with that storm system that came through, with that particular cell, that's why we've seen all of these reports, because it was just so torrential. Like I said, one of our rain gauges in the Palestine area coming away with 5 inches of rain over the past 24 hours. And a lot of that did come through this morning. So plenty of wet roads out there. You want to make sure that even after the rain passes, you are staying cautious and staying aware. Just because the ground is so soggy, our trees are kind of compromised at this moment. Our power lines could be compromised because they're not anchored into the ground the way that they usually are. So just make sure that you're staying aware. If you're planning on heading out on any of the walking or running trails after these storms pass through, and we're just tracking scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, please make sure that you are keeping up to date with the forecast and just staying aware of your surroundings in case a tree branch or a tree does decide to come down in your general area. That way you are staying just safe. We're going to make sure that y'all are staying safe out there as well. Now, we are still expecting rain, so Longview, Henderson, Center, Jefferson, you haven't gotten the brunt of this just yet, so be prepared for lots of rainfall. And if you have any errands to run in Jefferson, you might have 20-30 minutes before some of that water and rain gets to you guys. But again, this cell is moving off to the east. In Nacogdoches, you're about to get in some of those showers and thunderstorms here pretty quickly. We just had a new flash flood warning issued. Let me see. Let's get a check of this one. This includes Jacksonville, Rusk, Alto as well. This does stop just short of Wells. So the National Weather Service has issued this for Nacogdoches County, as well as parts of Cherokee County and southwestern Rusk County. It goes through 2 p.m. This is just for flash flooding that can be caused by the thunderstorms rolling through. This is mainly going to impact low-lying areas, areas that you don't get a ton of runoff. So we're talking about very much concrete heavy areas. So if you're downtown in a place that doesn't necessarily have as many storm drains as it may need for a system of this magnitude coming through. Watch out for highways if you're going under any underpasses, or of course if you're just going through any low-lying areas or next to bodies of water. Make sure that you are staying cautious and staying aware. Remember, turn around, don't drown. I've probably said that about 1 million times today, and you know I'm going to continue to say it. That way, you guys make sure that you know what to do, and of course are staying safe out there. Now, the National Weather Service is saying that between 1 to 3 inches of rain have already fallen in this area, and they expect that to cause some sort of flash flooding momentarily for, again, those poor drainage areas. We have a secondary flash flood warning. This one has been active for a little while. It's going to stick with us until 12:30, so we'll be on the noon show and we'll talk about it again there. Near Mount Pleasant, it does extend off to the northeast across the state line. Mount Pleasant is included in that. Clarksville as well. Naples is just off to the side of it, but you're close enough that it's not a bad idea to make sure that you are just keeping an eye on those roadways. Really, it's going to be that area of I-30 that we see a lot of the impacts of this. So make sure that you, of course, are just keeping an eye out. Now, heavy rain out there. This is between 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain have already fallen, and the National Weather Service is saying that between 1 to 2 inches of additional rainfall are possible across this polygon. And they're saying that flash flooding has is already occurring. There was a public report of some flash flooding in that area, so that's why they went ahead and issued that. So if you live in Mount Pleasant or anywhere off to the northeast that is highlighted under this purple box, make sure that you are staying cautious, never entering floodwaters. Same thing goes for even if you're not driving, even if you're walking, you don't want to drive into floodwaters, or I should say you don't want to enter floodwaters. You don't know how deep it is. You don't know if there's debris in there. You don't know what you could potentially be stepping on, or if there's any bacteria that has gotten into that floodwater or into the drainage water, and you just don't want to expose yourself to that. So it's significantly safer if you just stay on dry land and find another route to get to where you're going safely. Now, just off to the east, we are tracking just a few more sporadic pockets of rain. Nothing quite as crazy out there. Let me go ahead and clear this off for you guys. There you go. Now, off to the east, this is near the Arklatex in parts of Louisiana, some lightning, but still a lot of the storms that came through pushing off to our east. Just to our south, near Hemp Hill, St. Augustine counties, Zwolle are included in that, brought us as well. There is a bit of lightning picking up. It's not enough that I'm concerned about it because it is very much widespread throughout that storm system. We're not seeing any particular part of the storm become more electric than the other part. So no major rapid intensification in this type of storm system, but I am watching just this little area near Jasper that's heading off across the state line. If you take a look at the way that this is shaped, this indicates that there is some sort of gusty wind in this. This little area that's trying to bow out kind of looks like a contact lens. We're going to continue to keep an eye on that. This is moving off to the east, so it should very quickly exit East Texas. But if you are heading out to the south, just of course, remember to keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and switch over. I'm curious to see if we're getting any velocity tracks to pick up on this. Okay, so a little bit. We are seeing some red and green. That slightly darker red and that slightly darker green is kind of what we're looking at here. I would say wind gusts are probably between 15 to 35 miles per hour. In this little area here, you can see that slightly darker maroon where it meets the red there. That's just indicating a little bit of gustier winds there, and then how we kind of have that arc following where we did see that bowing pattern on this storm. So a few gusty winds heading in that direction. We'll continue to keep an eye on this. This may come up and just clip parts of Sabine County. However, I would not suspect that we'll see much in terms of gusty winds once these storms move out of here. Instead, it's going to be more widespread rainfall. Flooding is going to be the main impact for us. Thank you so much for joining us for the CBS 19 Plus live stream. I'm going to have to go ahead and get ready for our noon show, which is coming up. If you join us on CBS 19 Plus on the CW, and of course, anywhere that you can get CBS 19, we'll give you updates there, and we'll have more news and weather. But let me leave you on this 7-day. We're starting off in the 70s today. We gradually warm up until we hit the 90s on Monday. Rain chances stick with us until Wednesday. Have a great day.